Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. After testing my strategy with Germany last week, I decided to make an entirely new guide because I found several things that could be optimized. So while the overall strategy will be the same, the research priority is updated to take into account arms against tyranny. Now the other reason to remake the old guide is that it was still with the old style. It was a pretty long video, and I will try to make it a bit slimmer, a bit easier to follow. Of course, as usual for my latest guides, you can find the list of researches in chronological order and the focus tree in the description of the video. That being said, I think we can start. These are our first 4 researches. The other ones will not be mentioned in the video anymore. Now, for what concerns the buildings, we are going to build infrastructures and 4 civilian factories in the 2 provinces at the border with France. So for what concerns the production, we are going for 10 infantry equipment, 4 support equipment, 3 artillery, 2 anti-air. Now, whenever possible, make sure to also assign the military-industrial organization, like rain metal for artillery and anti-air. Then we're going for 2 fighters, 5 trucks, 1 CAS, and 1 train. The navy is entirely up to you, but what I suggest doing is reducing to just 1 the production of all of the outdated designs, and then bring to the bottom the bigger boats, so prioritize smaller ones first. And then whenever we have free dockyards, we're just going to build more submarines. Or at least that's my strategy, but for the navy, it's entirely open. I'm not a master of the navy anyway. I'm going to use it only for 1 invasion. The first focus is Rhineland, but again, you can find them in the description of the video. We're going to recruit as many infantry divisions as possible. That should be 22. For what concerns the armies, I split them by type. The only 2 that I keep together is the cavalry. I will keep it together with my panzer divisions, and I will change it into a panzer division later on. Other than that, we have the trucks, the mountaineers, and the regular infantry. I assign them to a marshal, but I don't bother with generals yet. We'll do it later. We're going to adjust our trade, which means we stop importing steel from Sweden, and we start importing rubber from British Malaya. Now, the early game with Germany is pretty boring, so we can keep the speed at 5. As soon as my planes gather in Berlin, I actually select them all. I merge the air wings, and then I assign 2 fighters to Ethiopia. First, you need to ask Italy to send volunteers, of course. And you do not send any infantry volunteers, because you cannot get them back anymore, since the war in Ethiopia officially never ends. But you can send air volunteers to farm some air experience from the very beginning of the game. And yes, actually sending tactical bombers to Ethiopia is a bit better than fighters, because Ethiopia doesn't have any fighters. We're going to farm a lot more air experience in Spain. In that case, I suggest using fighters too. For what concerns the other planes, I usually shift-click on the pilot exercises to train them all. And that is the initial setup done. You can save at this point if you don't want to redo it in case you mess up with something later on. Okay, as soon as the first focus is completed, we get enough political power to pick our silent workhorse. Now, for researches as well as for production, I always pick the military-industrial organization if there is one available. Like for infantry, I go for this one. As soon as we get to 150 political power, we want to pick Joseph Goebbels. And that's because we are going to try to switch to war economy as fast as possible. As you start getting your infantry divisions, you can assign them to a new army and start training them. Now, about the industry choices, I actually found concentrated industry to be better. I tested both, and concentrated performed a lot better before World War II. It's true that I got a bit more damage from bombing during the war, but the benefits from before the war and the fact that we get air superiority actually quite fast, I think makes concentrated the right choice for this run. Okay, the civil war in Spain started. We want to be part of this war. So I'm going to pick 2 infantry divisions. I will create a new army, and I'm going to send them to nationalist Spain. And also remember to send air volunteers in this case as well. Once your divisions get there, if you want, you can actively try to farm traits for your general. But usually I cannot be bothered with that. I just assign them to somewhere around Madrid. I give them an offensive order. I tell them to attack, and I never worry about them again. Now pay attention to the political power, because as soon as you get to 150, I'm slightly late actually, you want to pick war economy. At the same time, you also want to start recruiting 11 motorized divisions. That should be the maximum you can recruit at this point of the game. Now we got our first trait for the infantry equipment. With infantry equipment, I would try to maximize soft attack, so we should go for soft attack oriented traits Production trades are also pretty good. I would start with this one in any case. And then you can queue some of them by pressing shift and clicking. I would actually queue these ones to get this extra soft attack, and then I would queue these ones for the production, and finally this one for the soft attack. Now soon you will get more free civilian factories. What we want at this point is full military factories in the first two regions where we invested, and then infrastructure plus military factories also in Westfalen and Hessen. By this point of the game you should also have enough air experience to start designing your new CAS and fighters. Now with Germany we can actually make this very good design thanks to the fact that they already have the Cannon 1 unlocked. Now, of course, always remember to also assign a military-industrial organization to it. The light aircraft designer is the best one. Save your design and start producing it instead of the old fighters. So 2 factories assigned. You can also start making CAS. Usual design for CAS, and we also assign them the CAS aircraft designer. And we start producing them, 1 factory only. Once Ethiopia capitulates, the war will not be over due to the mechanics of Ethiopia. As you can see, they are still at war. You can take your bombers and bring them back to the mainland. At 150 political power, we are going for the war industrialist. At this point, you should also have some free military factories. We're going to bring the production of support equipment to 5, of F1 to 6, trucks to 6, and C1 to 4. Make sure that you have them in the same order as me so that the priority will not be different. You should keep adjusting trade as needed. At 100 political power, we can take our army offense advisor and start farming some army experience. At the same time, we're also going to add 2 more infantry divisions to this recruitment, and then I'm going to recruit another 24 infantry divisions. If you cannot do it yet, like in this case, you can force deploy some of the other divisions. Like a couple of them, and then you can get to 24. Now around this point we should also get the first rate for our light aircraft designer. In this case, of course, we want to maximize max speed and agility. Make sure to also update the previous designs, and we're going to prioritize these 2, and then we're just going to go down this path with the queue. Now when you get free civilian factories, you can start building full military factories in Hanover, Brandenburg, Thuringen and Franken. We don't need infrastructures here because we are going to get them very soon through our focus. We also have some free military factories, so we are going to increase the production of trains to 2. And then we are going to increase the production of guns to 25, F1 to 15, and trucks to 15. As soon as you get to 150 political power, you want to pick the industrial concern. We want to go for the refining concern. Now the next focus at this point is the Anschluss. If you do need more manpower deployed, force deploy some of your units, but you want to pick the focus right away. For what concerns the artillery traits, I would suggest going for the extra soft attack. So you get this one first, and then you go for this one. Then we can go for this one for even more soft attack, and then we go for more production efficiency all the way down here. At this point, if everything went well, you should also have quite a lot of air experience, and you can use it to pick not the doctrines, but the spirits. Aircrew surveys, and then as soon as you can, centralize control. I would not trade with Denmark, so I would say we have no need for Danish products when you get this message. With our truck designers, what I like to do is I like to get some extra hardness and soft attack, so I go down this path. And then I follow it with more armor, harness, and breakthrough. Now for our medium tank chassis research, I would suggest going for Henschel. Definitely not the right pronunciation. After the Anschluss, we have enough political power to take ground support. We also get some new divisions. The cavalry one can go together with your panzer, and the other ones can be merged with your existing Alpini army. So you want all of the Alpini and these extra Austrian divisions together. We're also going to change our occupation law to local police force, and we're going to change the infantry divisions to the Austrian cavalry division for this oppression. In recruit and deploy, we can also disband or decommission this infantry template, the Austrian infantry template, the German mountaineer template, and the German cavalry template. At this point, there is another thing that we want to do. We also want to build full military factories and one refinery in all of the 100% regions. So what I suggest doing is you start with military factories and you build to max. And then by right-clicking them, you remove one in each of these regions. And then you build one synthetic refinery in all of these 100% regions. Now at this point, also make sure that you prioritize finishing the factories that were already being built, like these ones, and these ones, more or less in this order. The rest doesn't matter, but we want refineries later and military factories first. Once you get 3 military factories, we're going to invest fully in F1 fighters. We're waiting for our tanks. At 200 political power, we're going to pick army logistics. Careful not to pick fleet logistics, it happened to me before. Army regrouping. We're also going to recruit another 12 motorized divisions. When researching the improved small airframe, of course go for light aircraft designer. Now, around this point of the game, it's February 1938. If you followed everything correctly, you should have unlocked the tank designs. And you should also have the first trait for the tank designer. Now this trait is quite important because we lack reliability with these tanks. But the very first trait is going to fix it for us. We're going to pick this trait. And then we're going to prioritize getting to this extra soft attack. So we can start queuing it in this way. We go for the extra soft attack. And then we go for extra breakthrough and defense. After this one, I would go for reduced fuel usage, extra defense, and extra breakthrough and max speed. More importantly, however, it's time to design our World War II tank. And in my opinion, this is the best possible design. We get great soft attack, we get good speed, the engine at 2 is enough if you do everything as I do. It will get to above 8 by the time World War II starts. By the way, remember to take the Christie suspension down here, otherwise you will not be able to match this speed. Overall, very, very good stats, very cheap, this is a great design. At this point, I also suggest you go here and take the motorization drive Spirit, because soon we're going to design our armored templates, and this will make them much, much cheaper. This is the template we're going to use for our armored divisions after the Arms Against Tyranny update. Combat width of 32. I decided not to add the anti-air, because it would cost us a lot of army experience. I don't think it's worth it. Overall, very good stats, and the speed will get to above 8 later in the game. I created this Panzer division by editing the existing German Panzer division, so removing the light tanks and increasing the motorized. But the support companies are the same from that original Panzer division. We're going to add later on the maintenance company and the flame tank company. Now we also need to make some important changes to our production. We're going to decrease the production of guns to 10, F1 to 10, and trucks to 10. We're going to start making T1, of course, with the Henschel design. And we're going to make them the absolute priority. So we are going to assign all of our factories to tanks. Now, of course, at this point, you need to pay attention to your trade and adjust which resources you need. You're probably going to need a lot less rubber and a lot more tungsten. Now, around this point, you should also get a message about insufficient resources in terms of chromium. That means you finished producing your lighter ships. You don't want to actually import chromium, I don't think it's worth it, so I decrease the production of heavy ships and I add the production of more submarines. At 200 political power, we can pick the Blitzkrieg Theorist. We're also going to check our templates at this point, make sure that everything is fine. So for our infantry, we're just going to keep using the default 18 with infantry the Germans already had. We're not going to change anything here. Our Panzer divisions are fine. Our motorized, we're also going to keep the default German divisions. They're very good. For the Alpini, we are not going to change anything. And the cavalry, we are not going to change anything as well. We want to select our Panzer army and we want to change these 2 cavalry divisions into Panzer divisions. And then we also want to recruit 7 additional Panzer divisions. Now, as soon as you get 3 civilian factories, you want to build 1 infrastructure, full mill, -1, so 1 synthetic refinery instead, in all of the 80% provinces. If there is only 1 building slot available, build only 1 military factory without infrastructures instead. When you get trades for the cast designer, go for increased ground attack. So our priority will be this path down here, and then we're also going to get this one. Then you can probably get the reduced fuel usage and the extra ground attack that is down here. About the fate of Czechoslovakia, I think it's better to set up Slovakia as a puppet state, because you get some extra compliance as well. Once you finish the synthetic rubber focus, you can stop importing rubber for sure. So make sure to do that. Do not waste any factories on rubber. And also make sure you're training all of your divisions, especially the new tank divisions. Make sure they are training. As soon as we get the army innovations focus, we're going to pick Brommel as our high command. And we're also going to take this chance to design our flame tanks. Okay, so for flame tanks, we are going to use this design. I managed to include 3 fuel drums and a wet ammunition storage. Now, this design tends to be a bit expensive, so if you prefer it to be a bit cheaper, you can remove the wet ammunition storage. In my opinion, this is not an issue, we can produce enough. It's only a support company, so we don't need that many. And the reliability remains pretty good. We're also going to start producing them. We're going to assign them 4 factories, and we're going to take them away from our tanks. Of course, we also need to add them to our division template, and we get the chance to also add the maintenance company. So we can add maintenance company and medium flame tank company. Now at this point, we also want to upgrade our previous T1 design. This is a little annoying. It's something from the last update. So you can press here on create variant, and you can make sure to upgrade it with the latest traits. We get some extra armor and defense. It's actually pretty good. We save the new design. It stays T1, and then we need to change it from the production here and make the new T1. You can also allow the conversion of older designs from the stockpile. We also got 3 civilian factories, and we're going to use them to build infrastructures and full military factories in all of the regions bordering Poland and the Netherlands. So something like this. Now once your last oil researches are done, you can change the industrial concern back into industrial, the standard one, for industrial research speed. And you can also change limited conscription into extensive conscription. Now when Italy asks to join our faction, we're not going to allow that. We do not want Italy in our faction at all. As soon as we are done researching our new planes, we need to make the new designs and start producing them. For what concerns fighters, we're going to use this very, very good design. This will destroy the allies in the skies. Mind that I used the self-sealing fuel tanks. For cast, we go for something a little bit more standard, but still, they're going to perform very well. Now we want to produce as many F2 as possible before the war starts, so we're going to decrease the production of tanks to only 25 factories, and we're going to assign all other factories to our planes. It should be about 50. We're also going to start importing oil from the Soviet Union. We're going to use 5 civilian factories. We also want to deploy all of the planes that we still have undeployed, and it's going to be a lot of them. We're going to split them around a little bit. And then we are going to start training all of them. Shift-click on pilot exercises for all of our planes. At this point, we're also going to start using our army experience and air experience. We're going to start with the army experience. We're going to get as many doctrines as possible down here. Ideally, we want to get to Blitzkrieg, and you should be able to. After Blitzkrieg, if you have enough, we almost have enough, you also want to take maneuver warfare. If you don't have enough, you can wait a little bit longer and pick it later. For the air ones, make sure that you got the spirits if you haven't yet, and after that you just go down this path and go for air superiority. And that should be about it, and you should be able to get about this many. It is also time to start getting our armies ready for the war. So I will show you the final assignment of my divisions for World War II. I will pick the last spirit, maneuver warfare. I will also pick the tactic. This is very important. You want breakthrough as your favorite tactic. And let's check how we deploy the armies. So our first infantry is at the border with Poland. We're not going to use them. The tanks are ready to push into Poland. That's what we're going to use for all of our pushes. And we just need a little bit more of training on this one, but basically they are all at regular experience. We are also always going to have a motorized infantry division assigned to the same position of the tanks without pushing, just to follow them around and fill the gaps as fast as possible. The second motorized is waiting at the border with the Netherlands. Now the other 3 infantry armies are assigned to a different theater. These are going to be used exclusively defensively. One against France, one in the northern part of Poland, and one at the border with Denmark. Now make sure, and this is very important, that especially on your first army, you're going to aggressively execute battle plans, and that the motorization priority is to maximum. This is the most important thing, actually. Now, when the focus Danziger war is about half done, your planes should be done with training. At this point, we will assign them a bit better. We're going to assign all of them to our panzer divisions, and then we're going to take away about half of this, and we're going to assign them to defensive purposes in the rest of Germany. At this point, we also want to check the upgrades for our tanks, because you are likely to have the plus 5% soft attack upgrade available. This is a very important one, so we want to get it, want to save the design, and we want to make sure that we are producing the most upgraded tank design. You can allow the conversion from stockpile to make it a lot faster. Okay, the last focus is done. Poland refused, and so we will soon get our claim, which means the main part of this guide has gotten to its end. Why do I say that? Because I will cover partially World War II, but I will go very fast. I will not go into details, and the reason is that the strategy for World War II is exactly the same as it was in my latest guide. So in fact, I will include a link up here, and you can check exactly what I did on that occasion, because it will be the same thing. As World War II is about to start, however, we can start recruiting another 12 divisions of Panzer. You can start the offensive right away with your Panzer, but then you will have to make some adjustments to production and trade, because we are going to lack a lot of resources at this point. Now, in terms of production, you want to reduce the production of trucks to 5 and the production of F2 to something like 20 or 25, depending on how it goes. And then we want the production of C2 to be about 15. We will lack some resources. We can import a little bit from some other countries, not that many. And the rest of the production, of course, will go entirely to tanks. So you can just assign all of the remaining factories to tanks. As soon as France is in the war against us, we also want to fabricate a claim on Hungary. And Poland is done. Keep an eye on the air superiority, make sure that you're assigning your fighters to counter the enemy bombers. And by the way, guys, this is what I'm talking about. Look at the fighters lost against the enemy fighters lost here in Western Germany. And keep in mind that most of our fighters are still the F1 designs at this point. This is how good the F1 designs with Germany are. Of course, at this point, we prepare to invade the Netherlands. You can give part of Poland to the Soviet Union, of course. By the way, we defeated Poland. Nothing surprising about that, but look at the casualties. 500 casualties versus 164,000. Not bad, right? As soon as the claim on Hungary is done, you should make one on Yugoslavia. Oh, by the way, at this point, up to you, but we don't have much to do with political power, so if you want, you can assign some of the medals to your tanks. I think there are two particularly good ones, which are the division organization one and the supply consumption one. I generally prefer supply consumption. I think the only situation in which these tanks do not push is when they don't have supplies. Of course, for the Netherlands, we're going to use the around Maginot focus. Netherlands is down. Time for Belgium. Belgium is down. Luxembourg is down. And France will be down very soon. As soon as they realize that they lost Paris. Yeah, there will not be a Vichy France. We're going to take everything. Now, after France goes down, you need to pay a little bit of attention to naval invasions. We don't want them to be able to reclaim their land. We're not going to face them with our tanks because we need them to invade Hungary. So let's prepare our tanks at the border with Hungary. By the way, the casualties so far in the war, about 2,000 for us, about 400,000 for the Allies. Okay, we're ready for Hungary. Let's go for Hungary. Let's do one thing. Let's change our background music to something more interesting than Churchill. Or at least more exciting, let's say. Very interesting man, but not the most charismatic, maybe. Okay, with this focus, we can also declare war to Denmark. And when Denmark surrenders, we are just going to make them a puppet. I'm entirely fine with this. Once we get the claim on Yugoslavia, we can start claiming Bulgaria. Alright, Hungary is down. Let's get ready for Yugoslavia. We need to be a bit more careful here, because Romania will join this war as well. So we want an army protecting the border with Romania. Let's go for Yugoslavia. Okay, Yugoslavia is down. Let's start claiming Greece. Let's go for Bulgaria. And Bulgaria is down. Let's go for Romania. Romania is the toughest in the Balkans, but once you surround them, they are fucked. And Romania should be down as well. Right. Romania is down. Time for Greece. And we also need to start claiming Spain.
Angetreten.
And Greece was destroyed as well. We got our claim on Spain, but we are not ready yet. Let's start claiming Portugal meanwhile. Spain can be a tough push. Pushing in the mountains against forts with tanks. But as you can see, we don't care. We just push. Now that we got our claim on Portugal, the remaining claims that we need, and it's just thugging these countries, we're not actually going to conquer them, are Ireland, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. So we just fabricate claims, declare war to them, and ignore them completely. But this way they will be part of the peace conference and we can puppet them or annex them. Okay, Portugal is down. Let's go for Spain and end this. Okay, Spain was actually a bit tougher than expected, but they went down. And Spain is quite important, not only because we're going to puppet them and take their stuff, but also because of the navy. Now, when you're preparing your invasion of the UK, if you're following my research as priority, you should be able to design your improved medium tank chassis. This is going to be our definitive tank design. Insanely good stats, of course, very good speed, very good reliability. And we're going to save this design. In addition to the previous one, it also has additional hardness and armor. We're going to save it and we're going to start producing it right away. By the way, just to show you how good our fighters are, this is the situation in the channel where they have all of their best planes, which we are destroying, by the way. They soon will not have any planes left. But look at these insane stats. Now, for the invasion of the UK, you actually have two options. You can go from Dunkirk, from down here, and this is the fastest way, but it's also a bit more risky. They usually have more of their fleet in here, and the other option I will show you in a second. So the other option is to go from Germany, from this harbor, and try to get either Hull or Newcastle in the northern part of England. This is usually a bit safer, so in this case we're going to go for this one, because our casualties are very low. Let's see if we can keep it a record. Okay, let's see if we can get the naval superiority in here. Okay, we got it. Perfect. We can start our naval invasion then. We should actually be able to get Newcastle fairly fast. Indeed. Okay, that's perfect. And we can send the rest of our divisions in there as well. Yeah, the UK is defending way more than before the latest patch. So they did increase the amount of units the UK keeps in the mainland to defend. Which makes sense, to be honest. It was a bit too easy. Sadly, our casualties went up because they caught one of my truck divisions during the transportation. That's alright. Not much we can do about it. This is a bit of RNG. If you can get to the UK without losing anything, then your casualties will be insanely low. Otherwise, a bit less insanely low, but still very low. Okay, London is down. Dover is down. I think the UK should be down pretty soon. And our final casualties are 45,000. And that's it. The war is done. We got 100% of the war score. We get the whole war basically to use it on. And with this, I think we can really consider this tutorial done. If you're curious about what I'm doing in the peace conference, I'm just going to puppet mostly everything. By the way, look at the amount of points we have to use in this peace conference. Oh wow, I can't take even Ethiopia from Italy. That's so sad. Yeah, I'm going to do it. We had so many points that I took everything from everyone and we still have 4,000 points. Okay, so everything is done. This is the amount of resources that we have. And this is the part of the world which is our puppet, which is about half of it. Now this video is already pretty long, so I will not include the bonus track Italy in this run. But I may continue it because this was a lot of fun with Germany. We already have our T2 tank designs ready. And of course we can test them on the Soviet Union, but that will be for another run. I hope you enjoyed this guide. If you have any ideas on how to further improve it, or if you have any doubts or questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.